first rays of sunlight barely kissed the horizon, casting a soft, golden glow over the jagged landscape ahead. Even Lyra and Ashen moved in silence, the weight of the journey pressing down on them. The forest was far behind, its shadows fading from memory, replaced by an expanse of rough terrain that felt as though it had never seen the touch of life. The air here was thin, stifling, and dry, as if the world itself was holding its breath. And beyond, the mountains rose warring, foreboding, their peaks hidden by a veil of swirling clouds. Ashen's steady stride never wavered as he led them forward, his purpose clear. The second shard lay somewhere within the heart of this volcanic wasteland. Evan's chest tightened as the land beneath his boots became more uneven. The jagged rocks cut into the soles of his shoes, and the heat was already beginning to crawl beneath his skin. A knowing unease settled deep in his gut, and it had nothing to do with the physical landscape. The very air around them seemed to pulse with an energy he couldn't understand and warning. Lyra walked beside him, her profile set in lines of determination, but her eyes flickered with a quiet wariness that matched his own. She might have been the one to mask her feelings most effectively, but Ethan could see through her defenses. He could feel it in the way her steps faltered slightly, as if the land itself held some unspoken threat. "We're sure this is the right path?" he asked, his voice low, carrying more uncertainty than he cared to admit. Ashen, his silhouette sharp against the early morning light, didn't pause. He didn't need to look back to answer, his voice calm, unwavering. "The path is dangerous, yes, but it is the only one. The second shard lies deep within the volcano, within the very core of the heart of fire. Its power is entwined with the fury of the mountain itself. This is where we must go." Ethan clenched his hands around the hilt of his sword, the familiar weight comforting, yet strangely inadequate. He had faced dangers before, but something about this felt different. The forest had been haunted, but it was a terror of the mind, of fear and shadow. This was a test of endurance, of raw, searing survival. The volcano was just enough stop that it was a living thing, ready to swallow them whole. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and Evan's heart skipped as a distant rumble echoed through the mountains. The volcano was waking. "I've been here once before," Ashen said, his voice distant, as if recalling something that had happened ages ago. "The land itself is alive. Earth, fire, and air are in a violent convergence. The magic of the shard calls to these elements, binds with them, and the volcano does not give easily." The heat increased as they approached the foot of the volcano. Ethan wiped a hand across his brow, the sweat mixing with the dust of the land. The ground pulsed beneath them, as if the mountain was alive and aware of their presence. His skin prickled with the heat, the wine biting at them like a warning. It wasn't until they reached the base that the true terror of the place became clear. A fissure in the mountainside yawned wide, jagged rocks surrounding it like the fangs of some ancient beast. The stench of sulfur burned Evan's nostrils, and the oppressive air nearly suffocated him. A plume of smoke rose from the volcano's peak, dark and ominous. "This is where it begins," Ashen said quietly, turning toward them. His face, normally unreadable, was now etched with something close to regret. "The heart of fire does not give its gifts freely. You will be tested. The mountain will demand everything from you. Trust yourselves, trust each other, and remember why you are here." Evan's throat tightened as he nodded, though fear, cold and sharp, gnawed at the edges of his resolve. Lyra's gaze flickered to him, her eyes softening for just a moment. But when she spoke, her voice was steady, unwavering. "We'll make it through. We have to." Together, they stepped into the fissure. The darkness closed around them like a shroud. The heat pressed in, a tangible thing, thick and suffocating. The walls of the passage glowed faintly, molten energy frowning beneath the surface, as though the mountain itself was alive. The rumblings grew louder, echoing through the narrow corridor, a warning that they were approaching something ancient and terrible. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, its walls stretching impossibly high. A river of lava coursed through the center of the room, its molten glow casting grotesque shadows. The air shimmered with heat, oppressive, suffocating, and there, at the farthest point of the chamber, stood an obsidian pillar, dark, smooth, and impossibly tall. At its peak, glowing like a heartbeat, was the second shard. It was different from the first. Where the first had been cool and bright, this one was fired as blood, alive with an inner flame. Evan's heart pounded as he realized the challenge before them. The shard was there, waiting, but the molten river stood between them and their prize. "This isn't just fire," Ashen muttered, stepping closer to the edge of the lava, his eyes hardened, gaze narrowing. "This is the heart of fire itself. Its wrath will not be easily subdued." Ethan swallowed hard, his stomach churning at the thought of crossing the molten abyss. He didn't need to speak the fear in his heart. It was clear on his face. "We need to move fast," Ashen said, voice grim. "The volcano is unstable. We have no time to waste." Lyra stepped forward, eyes scanning the room, searching for a way through. "I think I can control the heat, but it will take a moment." I'll need you to trust me. Ethan stepped back, his heart pounding in his chest, but he trusted her. He had to. Lyra closed her eyes, her hands outstretched, and as if at her command, the air itself began to shift. The temperature fluctuated, the heat bending to her will. The lava before them began to retreat. The fiery edge pulled back as though tamed by some unseen force, then stretched into an eternity. Ethan felt the pressure of the momentary second. Every heartbeat was a reminder that they were running out of time. And then, the way was clear. The molten river no longer surged with destructive power. It was contained, held back by Lyra's will. With a final steadying breath, they crossed, the oppressive heat still clinging to them, but no longer a barrier. The obsidian pillar loomed ahead, and the shard pulsed with an energy that seemed to beckon them closer. As they neared it, Ashen turned to Ethan, his face unreadable. You are the one who must claim the shard. The heart of fire will only recognize the one who can withstand its flame. Evan's breath hitched. The heat from the shard was overwhelming, and he could feel the power radiating from it, as though the mountain itself was drawing him in, testing him. His fingers twitched as the roar of the volcano seemed to fill his ears, but he didn't hesitate. The world went quiet as he reached out, his hand trembling with a fear he couldn't shake. The moment his fingers brushed the shard, the fire within it surged, consuming him. It burned, it seared, it threatened to tear him apart. But then, as if the fire itself had recognized him, a strange calm washed over Hyman, acceptance, a stillness. The shard pulsed, its inner light steadying, becoming softer, gentler. The fire in his veins quieted, and the vision came to him once more. This time, though, it was different of a youth. There had once been only distraction. Now a faint flicker of hope shone on the horizon. It was small, fragile, but it was there. Ethan withdrew his hand, the shard now safely cradled in his palm. The volcano's heat began to recede, and the room seemed less suffocating, less hustle. Lyra's voice was quiet, filled with awe. You did it. Ashen's nod was solemn, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of respect. The second shard is yours, but we are far from done. Ethan gazed down at the fiery crystal in his hand. The journey ahead was uncertain, the path still treacherous, but with both shards now in their possession, they were closer to their goal than ever before. Let's keep moving, he said, his voice steady, though his heart thundered in his chest. There's no turning back now. Together, they turned toward the exit, leaving the heart of fire behind, but carrying its strength with them. The flames of hope had ignited within them, and they would burn on until the world was saved.